So evaluation might be in your immediate or long-term plans. When should you start getting ready, and what are the things you should be focused on to maximize the valuation of your practice whenever you decide to transact? It's common sense that if you are thinking about selling your business in the near term, say 12 months or less, that you should be getting certain things in order. However, many owners are often surprised to hear that there are meaningful steps they could be taking right now, even if they were, say, 2 to 5 years away from a potential sale. So let's talk about some of these items you could be considering even though you might not be ready for a sale. Keep in mind, as we go through this video, we're trying to emphasize the negative impact to your valuation that any of these items might have. While it's never too early to mitigate detractors from an attractive business valuation, ideally you would address these at least 2 to 3 years in advance of a sale. So let's dive in. Number 1, lack of positive net new asset growth. Perhaps the number 1 item a buyer will evaluate to determine how aggressive or not aggressive they should be in pursuing your firm is your growth rates. Unfortunately, most firms do not have a history of growth when you remove stock market performance. This is problematic for buyers when their primary source of return often comes from the organic growth post-partnership. You should watch our video on net new assets, or NNA, to understand how this critical metric is going to affect your valuation. Number 2, your average fee rate. Easily one of the best ways to improve your bottom line is to ensure your fees are in line with the service you provide. Many firms early in their history undercharge clients to be competitive and win new business. However, over time, they never address the issue. The appropriate fee to charge is obviously tied to your service model and the types of clients you serve, for example, ultra-high net worth clients versus mass affluent. But if your blended fee is below 70 basis points, we encourage you to evaluate whether a fee increase is in order. Contrary to widespread opinion, fee compression is not a thing. Number 3, older clients. Elderly clients can be attractive to business owners since they usually come with larger balance sheets and they can invest more money. Just be aware that a potential buyer will look skeptically if your average age of clients is too high. Why? Simply because revenue associated with those elderly clients likely won't be received as long as if they were younger. If your average client is over age 70, you may try to bring on younger clients directly, or even better, establish relationships with the children of your existing clients. Number 4, client concentration risk. Often, you're excited when you land a large client for the obvious reasons, but how concentrated does your revenue become due to any large clients? Concentration risk, let's say if any client with greater than 10% of your total revenue could cause a buyer to discount the valuation since it represents a larger risk to them if that client were to leave for any reason. If you have one client or more than one that does represent more than 10% of your revenue, just know that it's going to be scrutinized and expect that a buyer at a minimum is likely to put some protective covenants around any valuation ascribed to that portion of the revenue. Number 5, lack of second-generation leadership. Buyers look very kindly on practices that have the next leadership level in place. When the second generation of leaders are there is less need for the buyer to source that talent after you're a part of their team. Having Gen 2 in place supports revenue stability and client satisfaction. Revenue stability gives buyers great comfort. On the flip side, lacking the second generation of leadership can lead to buyers reducing the valuation paid due to the perceived risk if something were to happen to the current owners. Number 6 would be exotic investment management strategies. As much as some of your clients might be impressed by specialty investment strategies that you have, buyers are often looking at these as risks to be avoided. Why? From a compliance perspective, exotic investment solutions are often considered less predictable, they're more expensive, and they're difficult to provide due diligence on. And buyers are not generally attracted to taking on such headaches. Number 7, compliance issues. I know this is a very sensitive subject for both the buyer and the seller, But many buyers have a zero tolerance for compliance items and will simply reject any seller who has ADV disclosures. If you do have ADV disclosures, you should seriously try to have them expunged. This may be a difficult and costly process, but if you're successful at removing them, it's going to greatly enhance your appeal to buyers. If you have compliance issues and you can't get them removed from your ADV, be prepared to have a great deal of due diligence around the disclosures and give a non-passionate account for that item in hand, and we'll just handle it from there. Number 8, age of the partners. We strongly advise firms to evaluate a transaction when partners are between the age 50 to 60, if not sooner. Waiting until you're age 70 or above is not a good plan if your intent is to maximize your firm's value for obvious reasons. If you are over the age of 60, it's not too late to get ready, but no, your valuation could be slightly impacted unless you have that Gen 2 in place already. So these are some simple areas you can focus on even if you're years away from transacting. Well, let's say you have some of these issues in your practice. What are you going to do? Well, first, understand that all businesses have something that needs correcting. You're not alone here. Just start now working on addressing them early. You're going to be very happy you did when you do decide to transact in the future. At Alerus Acquisitions, we stand ready to help you dive into all aspects of your business, providing guidance on how buyers are going to perceive what you've built. We're going to look at your client experience, your investment programs, your P&L, your staffing model, and numerous other relevant factors should you are at that point where you want to get deal ready. Awareness of the above detractors from a business valuation standpoint is the first step. So I hope you found this informative and useful as you begin to prepare for an eventual and successful transaction. I'm Alan Darby, CEO of Alerus Acquisitions. I'm looking forward to meeting you soon.